morning, good afternoon, good evening. History is a filter. Whatever you may try to hide, given time, the truth will always come out. The Shona have got a saying that Namanyangari Putiru. The truth will always come out. Robert Gabriel Mugabe, history will know him as a man who spoke with a forked tongue. He will say something that you want to hear, and yet does not mean it. Here is an interview he gave in his younger days.
Well, we are totally opposed to the concept of multiracialism because it assumes in the first instance that the people have got to be arranged in compartments based on color. You have Europeans in one compartment, Asians and coloreds in two other compartments, and the Africans in another compartment. And immediately you talk of multiracialism, you are accepting as a starting point that the races are different, and this difference must be recognized. We are non-racialist in our approach. That is, we regard as an individual as an individual, and that everybody must be accorded his full political rights, whether he be white or black, educated or uneducated, rich or poor. And this is exactly why we are at the moment struggling to earn for our people one man, one vote.
Well, that was a lie. Mugabe never meant to end the suffering of the black people. What Mugabe was striving for is absolute power. He didn't care about one man, one vote, about the suffering of ordinary people. All he cared about is power. As the country's independence approached, and the people were given their chance to have a meaningful say in the governance of the country, Mugabe and his ZANU-PF colleagues agreed at the Lancaster House that they would withdraw all their freedom operators from the field to allow for free, fair, and credible elections. They agreed that, but by the time they returned back to Zimbabwe, they changed. They decided that they would retain a significant number of their freedom fighters in the field, and they were instructed that their campaign message to the people would be, if ZANU-PF does not win, the Bush war would continue. Where was one man, one vote then? Some people have argued that it was just a campaign gimmick. He didn't mean it. But even they were disillusioned when 3 years down the line, Mugabe launched the Gukurahundi. I've said it on this platform, and I'll say it again. Gukurahundi, the primary purpose of it was to force the only other political party in the country that posed a real political challenge to ZANU-PF's continued rule, PF SAPU, led by the late Dr. Joshua Nkomo, to give up his aspiration as a separate political entity. And the Gukura-Wunti massacre stopped in 1987 when SAPU signed the Unity Accord with ZANU, paving the way for the imposition of the de facto one-party state that has existed in Zimbabwe to this day. There is a man who wanted it to be known that he was fighting for one man, one vote. He never wanted it. He's only saying it because that is what he knew those people listening to him wanted to hear. The only time when Zimbabwe came close to having free, fair, and credible elections was in 2008, when SADC had used pressure on the regime to hold free elections. And as a result of the March vote started coming out, it became clear that ZANU-PF was losing. And Mnangagwa and a few other ZANU-PF thugs stepped in, stopped SEC declaring the results, and took over the process. It is said that Mugabe had acknowledged that he had lost the election and he was ready to leave. But he was persuaded by Mnangagwa and Chiwenga, among others, to stay on. But once he decided to stay on, he went into the runoff campaign with his usual zeal. And he showed his true colors. This is him speaking at one of his runoff rallies.
Kana inina katakaisa bairo panapa ndinochikanda pasi ndoti vakomana kwatakabva.
Once he was speaking the truth. History will know Robert Gabriel Mugabe as a man who spoke with a forked tongue. He said he was not a racist. He lied. He said he was fighting to end racism and the oppression of one group by another. He lied. He said he was fighting for one man, one vote. Again, he lied. What Mugabe was fighting for who has absolute power for himself and his fellow ZANU-PF thugs. They were willing to kill for it, and they killed for it. Zimbabwe is a failed state because we had the great misfortune of having founding fathers who had no commitment to creating a just and free society. And we are stuck with it now. This ZANU-PF dictatorship is deeply entrenched in the country's political system. Uprooting it is proving to be a serious challenge. But uproot it we must, or the nation is doomed. There is the opportunity to uproot it. There's been the opportunity to uproot it the last 45 years if we only open our eyes and see it. At the present moment, as a nation, we are not ready for democracy because we are not ready to open our eyes. Nations get the government they deserve. We cannot run away from the fact that we deserve this corrupt, tyrannical ZANU-PF dictatorship, complete with its corrupt, incompetent, and utterly useless MDC/CCC opposition. We need to focus on how to get out of this mess. The opportunity to get out is there. We just haven't been looking for it. We need to start looking for it. Think about it. Thank you, and have a good afternoon.